Welcome to the new episode of Leaders of Growth. I'm Milan Savov, CEO of SmartLeak, and today with me here is Faris Sehovic.
Knowing how much we don't talk enough about sales and especially about concrete life examples. So I really hope that today my story will resonate with the audience.
The main thing which I want listeners to have out of this today's episode is how to set up a sales strategy and be consistent with the implementation. When you define that strategy, what were you thinking? How did you choose what to prioritize? Can you just break down a little bit so we can dig deeper into this?
My CEO told me look, we need to reach 1 million in 1 year. And that's why we need you here to scale up the whole sales engine. Throughout my whole life, I always loved to think about plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D.
Welcome to the new episode of Leaders of Growth. I'm Milan Savov, CEO of SmartLeak, and we help B2B SaaS companies to position on top results of Google and LLMs and get high quality leads. I started this podcast because I wanted to bring real stories, real lessons and strategies of leaders and people who walk the talk and speak directly to you. So in every episode, I'm sitting down with founders, CMOs, and people in leadership positions to uncover what's really working on in IT and SaaS these days. And today, with me here is Faris Sehovic, who has huge experience in sales in B2B SaaS. What I decided to invite him is because at one SaaS conference, I watched his presentation about how he helps scaling his company from 100K per year to 2.5 million per year in 18 months. And this is a story which I want to be shared with you. So Faris, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks a lot, Milan. Really happy and honored to be part of this podcast, especially knowing how much we don't talk enough about sales and especially about concrete life examples. So I really hope that today my story will resonate with the audience and yeah, it will be useful and people will take some pieces and bites in their own strategies and experience.
That's great, Faris. I was really impressed when I heard that story, how you helped them scale from 100K to 2.5 million. So it's really impressive. And the main thing which I want listeners to have out of today's episode from this podcast is how to set up a sales strategy and be consistent with the implementation. So I'm trying to pick up your brain here. When you define that strategy, what were you thinking? How did you choose what to prioritize? Can you just break down a little bit so we can dig deeper into this?
Sure. Just to mention one step back is that I literally moved from payments to HR tech in the end of 2022. And it was a massive transition because obviously payments was also B2B sales, but HR tech was, I would say, a proper definition of B2B SaaS platform, very small startup from Serbia, entering highly competitive space. And I had two challenges initially. First of all, to understand the industry, but then the second challenge was maybe the first challenge, where my CEO told me look, we need to reach 1 million in 1 year. And that's why we need you here to scale up the whole sales engine. And we just stepped into enterprise sector. So I like to say that throughout my whole life, I always loved to think about plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. Maybe that's also because I'm coming from Bosnia and Herzegovina and you always have to have at least two or three plans, correct, the Balkan attitude. So while I was really getting myself into the HR tech and trying to understand everything, and we talk about people analytics platform, which is obviously not just a simple tool. It consists of a lot of metrics, a lot of sellers and buyers who actually are very technically diligent. I was thinking of, okay, how actually we can really get there. And obviously, I'm not sure if you're going to make everything right immediately. So I need to have at least a couple of options.
Yeah.
So back then we were really lucky that we had a very influential guy from US who was working in that domain. And we utilized him for a lot of referrals. And I think that's definitely always the first step to go with when you are part of the startup. Either CEO has a great network or you just find someone within the ecosystem who can actually bring a lot of leads. However, what I have realized is that we would have a lot of calls, 10 to 15 calls per week with Pinterest, with Kroger, with Dropbox, but we would not move these deals further. They would all come into the pipeline. They would all be very keen to understand what's the new tool in the market. I like to say a regular FOMO. However, they wouldn't have like immediate buying need. Maybe one out of 20 of them would be the one. So I was thinking, okay, like obviously we have a lot of leads coming in, but we don't have anything tangible we're going to close very shortly. And then I actually started thinking of where we can actually get the most of the leads and how we can actually really make it quite fast. So I was actually thinking, okay, events should be one of the strategies where we can find people who, as long as they signed up to come for the event, either they talk about the topic or they're searching for potential platforms that they would consider, in the near future to purchase. And in HR tech, I think that's definitely the case. So we started first quarter with referrals, but then already by the end of the quarter, GTM team, there were 6 people of us, 2 sales, 2 CS, and 2 marketing and operation people. We pulled up the whole agenda of the events throughout 2023, and we kind of marked 4 of them. And then we really started with very consistent approach about events. I think that's definitely something we can cover later, how the event strategy works, because I think that's a special takeaway for a lot of salespeople.
Yeah,
and then
before moving to events, let's just keep a bit on the referrals part. So what was the exact strategy? So I know that there are a lot of people who actually don't have like a lot of or a huge network in the very beginning. So how they can leverage the referrals in the very beginning? What was that strategy which worked for you maybe?
Yeah. So we were lucky that we had one guy who runs podcasts on the people analytics side within US. And US traditionally is still the strongest market to sell HR tech or people analytics. So he was generating a lot of leads from his network. And obviously he had some incentive to do that, basically like a full time for our company. I have to say that Lucas, who was back then CEO of Orgnostic, he also had an amazing network, and he was really driving a lot of connections from his network. But we also realized that partnering with some other HR tools, because they have a lot of marketplaces, also worked quite well for us, but also for me, establishing a relationship with sellers of these other HR tech companies. Because what is really joy of HR ecosystem is that I hear every day on the calls what someone thinks about their HRIS, ATS, payroll, engagement tool. And then if I hear that some of them want to switch, I can actually do that in a partnership level with some other HRIS tool and connect them.
Are they like complementary to yours, or you offered like similar features of the platform?
Quite complementary, to be honest. So for example, we would come after HRIS tool. So for us to actually have a proper connection with the customer, we would really need them to have a proper HRS system in place. And that's where I would be very useful to some HRS company. But also they would be great if they would refer us to their existing customers, because that's how they can scale trust and relationship as well. So that was quite well. I do have to say that also in a lot of startup consulting that I'm doing on a side, I always like to mention that referrals are the great thing to start and to get the market research, to get validation of the product. But I don't think that's actually the way to go in more than 3 to 6 months. Like I feel like after 2 months, you already have to have like plan B in place. And that's where events were the crucial thing for us.
That's great. So let's just sum up the first part about the referrals. You mentioned that if you have a good network, you can leverage that in the very beginning, or maybe partner up with some influencers who also have the connections and can make you introduction and penetrate the market. And also the partnership, when you can find tools who are complementary to yours and you're like adding additional value to their and them to yours. So this is like the part for the referrals, right?
Exactly. And I think maybe from the realistic point of view, we had in one quarter more than 45 to 60 companies we spoke to. Out of all of them, we did manage to close deal only with one of them in sales cycle that was around 265 days. The reason for that is that company already had contract with our competitor, so they were very honest with us. Next 1 year, we shall stay in touch, but we cannot sign an agreement before that. So let's be honest, it took us 265 days to close one deal from 60 referrals.
And do you think it's smart only to focus on referrals, let's say for 1 quarter and do nothing else? Just do that, or experiment with maybe another thing in the meantime?
definitely experiment with another thing. So basically, already after 1.5 months, basically half of the quarter, doing referrals very diligently, we already started with events strategy. I have to say that we were also doing some outbound campaigns, but the team was very young, and I was not yet feeling very confident in terms of the methodology and terminology of the HR system. So we decided that, okay, like, let's go with events. So we already started preparations for the events, and maybe also because that referral strategy was for Q4, Q1. So then Q2 usually is when you have a lot of events, and Q4. So then we decided, okay, in Q2, let's focus on the events. So we already started with events.
Great. Can you tell us more about that? How did you choose which are these events? How, because there are probably a lot. So how did you choose to be exactly for, and why exactly them? And what was the preparation look like at the back end?
Definitely. So I think my strategy around events is really diligent. I like to say it's like, medical surgery. You can't make mistake. And that's where I'm very strict towards
like
myself
you have
and my
one
teams.
shot and nothing.
That's it, because it's either you make it or you just like honestly break it. And the reason for that is, first of all, we targeted 2 events in Q2 and 2 events in Q4. Why? Is because our approach is that basically already 1 month before the event, we need to start with outreach. Keep in mind that in all of these events, we didn't have a booth. 2 reasons for that. We did have money, but you don't need money to be at the event. I'm going to give you a great story from Q4. What I have done for our company to be for free at the event, and it paid out very well for both sides. So that's why you need 1 month to start outreach ahead, and then you also need at least 1 month after the event to make sure that you did enough follow-ups with all of these leads. And that's why basically, like, it's already 2 months of work behind one event. The second thing is that for a lot of these events, a lot of people actually don't know that every event has a LinkedIn page, and people kind of click a 10 button way ahead of that event. So you can already see way ahead of the event roughly who are the people interested in that event. And that's a great excuse to start building connections. And then obviously when you pay a ticket for the event, then you get usually the tool for scraping the people. However, the challenge there is that these people don't know there is the application until they don't come to the opening of the event. When they tell you there is a QR code that you can scan and download the app. And then when they open, they have a bunch of the, things listed on their app. And they are like, oh my God, like I did not sign up for this. So basically, I would see on the events list who are attendees, but I would start reaching out to them way ahead of the event through LinkedIn. And we always gave ourselves a KPI that if we go to the event and we don't have already 15 meetings scheduled ahead, that most likely means that we failed. I also like to say that obviously out of these 50 meetings, not all of them will show up. But at least 50 to 70% will. But then also at the event, you will actually meet at least 15 to 20 other companies. So at the end, you will finish the event with at least 30 to 40 meetings.
So you actually find out the page on LinkedIn where actually the event is. You join there, you see the people, and then you wait for the app for the QR just to continue with the outreach. But you also do the outreach even before you get access to the app. And once you're at the event, you set up KPIs for that, how many companies you have to meet. And then you spend another month to just do the follow-ups with everyone which you met there. Do you have any specific strategy for how to connect with them before the event, which worked for you? Because
absolutely.
We actually get a lot of messages on a daily basis, so maybe we will not even see the message what actually is. So what's that which can code them to open the message?
Absolutely. I mean, even in my regular outreach, I never start my first message with pure sales. My always first message is, "Hi, Milan. Thanks for adding me to your network. Glad to be connected. Regards." The reason why I do that is because sometimes I see if you have a seen status on LinkedIn, sometimes you don't have. So it's already like great insight for me. If you have seen status, then I can see how accurate you are on LinkedIn and whether that might be the right channel to reach out to you. Here we talk about HR, tech people, mostly people analysts. They are now getting more and more hype about LinkedIn, but they're not usually like, everyday posters within that space. And then after 2 days, I would reach out to them usually with a message. Hi, Milan, I have noticed you will attend People Tech World in London in April. Curious to hear what is your goal from that event. The reason why I'm asking that is because, if I start immediately selling them my company, it's going to be like, oh, like another sales guy. But if I understand what's the reason for him or her to come to the event, then I can shape my outreach. And I have to be honest, like, it really worked well for me. I mean, disclaimer, I didn't start with this question immediately. I did this hardcore sales, let's have a meeting, I'll be there. And then I realized that it takes them some time to reply. The reason will be like, oh, but why? Who are you? Like, why we should meet? I don't know about you. And then I realized, okay, Faris, you're being a very, harsh. Like, let's take one step back because I have engagement with them already. So I started with this question, and then it increased my conversion for 25%.
That's great. So you're trying to be like natural, to ask for their goals, they're pretty open to share about that. So then you can make some bonding, some connection, and just make a conversation.
Because I think we tend to forget as a people, not just sellers, that, events purpose is networking. Yes, sales comes for us, but it's first of all networking. So why am I going to the event? To meet people and then to sell. I cannot sell if I don't meet you. So I think we should follow that whole streamline of the logical approach. And then if I ask, hey, Jessica, why you're coming for this event, or what's your goal of this event? I don't see any reason why Jessica wouldn't tell me, hey, I would like to learn. Or maybe I had some replies when people will tell me, actually, I'm going there to explore vendors.
Yeah. And just curious, how big was the team which was actually working on this whole process for the event? Or what is the minimum required? For example, if someone is in the very beginning, what kind of team he needs to cover all of this effort?
2 of us, honestly. Me and my team member, and there were even some. It was very successful, but I also have to say, for this other event that I'm going to tell you shortly, the story that's the biggest HR tech event in Europe, Unleash in Paris. We had a case where besides my CEO, it was me and head of customer success. So basically what I have done with head of customer success, I made a word cadence of LinkedIn messages, and I assigned people to her that she should be adding. And then it happened that she had a better conversion rate than me. She scheduled 15 meetings ahead. I scheduled 10. And then she was like, oh my God, this works. So I was like, actually, you see, it works. So I think 1 or 2 people are only needed, but that's why you have to be very diligent. You have to make your Excel file. You have to do proper outreach in a way, you follow your cadence. Another thing is also at the day of the event, you have to make sure that on that morning you wake up at 6 a.m., you have your coffee, and you send reminders to people that, hey, Milan, we have a meeting today. I think a lot of people try
the show up rate on actually the meeting.
And a lot of people try to automate that. Okay, maybe I'm 35 and I'm old-fashioned, but I just feel like I don't think for me, it didn't work as automation, and I love to do it more personalized. So that's where actually I think really 1 to 2 salespeople are totally enough. And it really helps. You have CEO who can just spot the person. You can tell him, hey, this is Chanel, go there, talk. And then he just switches there, and then he leverages on your outreach. So I think it works quite well.
That's great. That's great. So we covered the referrals and the event. So what's next in the quarter 3?
At the quarter 3, actually, it was outbound. I just have to shortly say this about Unleash because I was promising. So basically, in Q4 2023, we were already okay, even having money to go for the event was a big question. So I just called the organizers and I told them, hey, look, we are a very young startup from Serbia. Can we get free tickets for free? And, we have never been to this event. If we succeed with this event this year, next year, we're going to be obviously having a booth because that's where we're going to get a lot of money. And actually, we got 3 tickets for free, and we hijacked networking area. Literally, we hijacked the table. 2 of them were there. I was circling around and bringing people to the table. So basically, we had a booth. And then 1 year back, we came with the booth.
That's a really great story. So if you don't knock, the door will not open.
Exactly, you have to ask.
That's great.
So Q3 was actually outbound. So we were like already had a lot of learnings about the messaging, about the terminology. We already like knew what kind of the industries can be like really fruitful for us. Smaller teams, big companies, based in certain areas, US, Western Europe. So we started with heavy outreach, and it really worked out because basically what happened is that there was one company that we just launched email campaign, and after second message they replied, we booked a call, and then literally in 1 month we closed a deal of 150K per year. So it was like basically $500,000 in 3 years annual subscription.
That was more than your current revenue yearly.
Correct. So I like to say that, you know, we utilized email and we utilized LinkedIn. We didn't do any cold calling. But what was a crucial thing is that our messaging was very straightforward. It was like, hey, this is how the platform looks like. We understand the challenges you might face with, and you just maybe want to take a look at the platform. And then we had like around 11% of conversion rate on the email campaign, which I think is quite good. We would target like 5 to 8 people from every company.
But I suppose you had like a pretty niche down ICP. Who are you actually talking to in these campaigns?
Yes. However, the problem always with our company was that we could not limit ourselves to work with one vertical. Because when you're a startup, you need that one big customer who will break the door. And I love to say, like, you're basically running around like a headless chicken around that vertical. So we ignored vertical because we were thinking fashion, luxury, finance, IT. So we basically had only 3 criteria. Is that the company has more than 1,000 employees. They have team of 2 maximum people analysts, and they are based in US or Western Europe. And one beneficial thing would be if they were at any events we attended, because that obviously gives a bit more traction that they might be in the buying mode or exploratory mode. And that were only 3 criteria we had. And yeah, at the end, we kind of filtered the industries by response of these companies.
That's great. I want just to share something here which we found out very useful, and it's like advice from Jordan Belfort. I heard it at one event. There is a story which he shared about when he was selling newspapers. So he was trying to knock the door on every door which doesn't have newspaper at all. But after that, he didn't sell anything. So he changed the tactic to sell to the doors where there is already at least one newspaper. So he was trying to sell to people who was already buying something. And we tried that in our agency also. We initially tried to sell SEO to people who don't have traffic, are not visible, but you need to educate them a lot. And the sales cycle becomes very long. They will not even buy anytime. So when you switch that to people who already has the service, but maybe they're not satisfied from the team or from the agency, then the chances are really bigger because they're educated, they know the benefits. So I think you had the same thing with these companies who already visit the events, which is pretty nice.
Correct. And I think we learned in the hard way that when we have done referrals, these people were usually new in their role. And, you know, their KPI is actually to bring something new to the company. So I feel like they were like talking to us to learn about the technology and then to try to copy paste that within their companies. So I no matter how much I was really proud of myself that I'm talking with such a big names in US, but I realized like, you know, nothing is happening. They keep coming back with more questions. So I actually sometimes felt like I'm PA analyst, you know, to them. So that's the thingy. But I have to say, and maybe this is not a popular opinion, I don't give up from people I need to educate. It's just that if you are in startup mode, you need to really be realistic and tell that these deals you might close in 2 years if you survive.
Yeah.
Because I had a case last year when the acquisition happened of Orgnostic. that we were not doing active sales for 3 to 6 months. And I had all of these educated leads coming back to me.
Yeah,
So I was literally sitting at home and
get leads.
being invited to tenders. Correct.
Yeah, I think that this is a strategy depending on the phase where you are exactly.
Exactly.
Great. So outreach worked pretty well, and then you continue doing that and add like anything else on top of that in Q4, or just
I think
the
Q4
strategy after that.
I think Q4 was the crown of the whole journey, because you asked me in the beginning, like, okay, when you start referrals, do you do anything on a side? Well, we always actually have worked on building strong brand. And that's where we had amazing marketing manager and sales operation person who were building our community, who were building a lot of valuable content, a lot of handy content, where in 1 year we built Slack community of more than 1,000 people, analysts across the world. We were always getting inbound, but not like perfect ICP specifically. But in Q4, it happened that we started generating incredible ICPs.
The power of compound.
Exactly. And that's where in Q4, that pipe kind of started working out amazingly well for us. And we actually launched, basically we've been invited to RFP with a massive French supermarket, 100,000 employees. And, when you're a startup, you're thinking like, this basically means that the whole company needs to work for that account.
Yeah.
But we get into it, and at the end, we won the deal. And I think that was I think maybe the largest deal actually in my career ever. I mean, in B2B SaaS, in some other industries, they were bigger, but it was incredible. And I think the joy of winning that deal was actually that we were like more agile. We flew to France anytime for the meeting. We were like, go all in. And it worked out well. And that's how Inbound Engine started working very well. And actually, we heard from our competitors that they started copy pasting our mechanism in terms of the content, in terms of the community. And then the brand became really, really big. So when the acquisition happened, everyone already was like, oh, wow. Like,
they know about you.
Yes, they know about us.
So that's really great. You had like a secret sauce in behind which was working, and then you do on top of that the referrals, the events, the outbound, and then like a crown at the Q4 come the inbound leads actually. That's impressive.
Correct.
You mentioned that you have plan B, plan C, plan D. So what are you saying? This is like pretty ideal scenario, but is there anything which maybe went wrong, and how did you handle that?
Well, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, I feel like referrals didn't go wrong, but I don't think that we gained a lot from them, even now when I look 3 years back. And that's why I'm grateful that we came up with a plan with events and already building outbound.
So that was the plan B actually?
Correct. But that's why I'm saying, like, my strategy was like, okay, let's start with referrals, but then let's have events starting from the half of the referrals as a plan B. Because I feel like, and that's an interesting point, like, I think head of sales in startup is expected that they have a magic stick and then they will just like, do voila with that, and then it's going to work out. Like, you can't know. I mean, economy is changing, buyer personas are changing. HR is always first to get cut. So I'm always saying, like, look, I don't have the option, but I have options. And let's see what's going to be the option. And I think the option for us was just to have 4 outbound approaches. And at the end, like, they all work together, I have to say.
Yeah.
And that was my plan B, plan C, plan D. My plan E was actually, yes, there was a plan E that could happen, but it was not needed because the acquisition already happened. So that was kind of totally fine. That's where I think it's really important when you join a startup as a head of sales that you really understand, like, where are the people, where you can find them. Is it LinkedIn? Is it event? Is it like joining some meetups if you're based in some countries where your buyer personas? And really start with the networking, and to really, really enhance your language to speak the same language as people from your industry. And then I think miracles can happen.
That's great. So how can someone be sure that in that position that you're on the right track, that you're getting the results and you're going towards the goal which you mentioned, 1 million?
I think what I see with a lot of startups nowadays is the way how they operate is very, business-wise, I understand agile and, being more flexible. Like if you think about the product development and these things, but if you think about sales, you need to have sales playbook from day one, and you need to have like KPIs for yourself and your team. So what we have done is that on weekly basis, we would do meetings on Monday morning, like a Monday planning, and Friday evening, Friday reflection. And then the whole GTM team would sit down together, and we would have KPIs in terms how many new conversations we want to open and how many deals we want to move further through the pipeline this week. And of course, how many deals we want to close.
Yeah.
And that was the weekly loop. We were like repeating on Monday and Friday, what we want, what we have done, what we want, what we have done. And then if you see that after 3 weeks, for example, with referrals, you have 40 companies in your disco stage and only one in tech validation and potentially one in business proposal. You don't need PhD in sales to understand that's not good.
Yeah. And do you have any like specific discussions which you're doing with the internal sales team just to understand the situation better and to help them be better at their positions?
This
is mostly for the reflection part, I think.
Yes. The reflection part is always that we try to understand, like, if we haven't achieved KPI, like, did we learn what was the blocker? Because we would try, like, kind of group them within certain buzzwords, like budget, technical limitation, or layoffs, or something around that. So we can see, like, what's the accuracy of these things. I feel like initially we also thought, like, maybe it's because we are a startup. But then we realized that actually it's not because we are a startup. It's usually because either they're budgeting or some limitations of the features that we need to work on. So then in that case, I would actually really try to reflect with my team how we can handle these objections and how we can produce material to actually keep them engaged. And that's maybe one thing I really want to say here. I know it's a burden for a lot of startups to produce sales enablement content. But I really feel that has a major impact for our deals, because after the call, even if we cannot deliver a certain feature, we would like send you some kind of comparison, how we differentiate from other vendors, some one pager about some of our specific features. Yeah. And that's how we would keep them in the loop. So they feel like, okay, like these guys are really working on something I need. So I should give myself time to talk to them. And I think that's why they came back after 1 year to us automatically.
That's great. You mentioned that you have to have a playbook from day one. So can you just share what exactly should contain that playbook? Like the basics, not everything, but something which could be useful for someone who doesn't have it.
Correct. I just want to say that when I came up with a playbook, that was not like the most welcomed idea, because everyone was like, we don't need that documentation. Like, let's focus on closing the deals. My sales playbook is very simple. It literally covered who are our ICPs. Next slide is who are our buyer personas and what are their challenges. And then we had like 4 slides of 4 sales stages: disco, tech validation, business proposal, and any other technical call that can happen within the implementation.
Like the sales
cycle. Sales cycle. But that's another thing. I feel like the common question is like how many sales cycles you should have in startup and these things. I prefer to have 4, maximum 5, and that's pretty much enough for me. But then each one of these stages would cover duration of the call, 5 questions to be asked, and basically what should be the next step of that call that we can move to the next slide. And then also, and I think this is really massive benefit of startup, is for the later sales stages where we are engaging customer success managers, engineers, product people. So they help us, driving the deal further. Because I also feel like nowadays it's quite important that even if you're a startup, if you ask company like, hey, can you bring me your manager on the call? Why wouldn't I bring one more person from my side? Why it always has to be me? Because it could be like, okay, like if I'm seeing only you, like where is the rest of the team? So that's why I like to bring more people from
So
my
when someone
team on
else is
specific
joining,
call.
you're adding like more value to the conversation actually with the expertise from your team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then basically the last slide would be just like, some kind of the goals we want to achieve for that quarter or that year. So we can always like keep coming back to Playbook and revise. And of course, by today, we had like 77 versions of the Playbook. But the headlines still remained the same. And I think it's really, because I think another thing is also in startups, and I think that's a very important fact. If you join as a head of sales, it's very important what kind of the CEO do you have. Does the CEO have more technical background, more business background, and then also like how much in terms of sales are familiar the other people within the company? Because we need to understand that in startup we are all selling.
Yeah.
And no matter how much some people don't want to come on the call and talk about the deal, like they need to like bring that value. But also I think it takes a lot of effort from sales leaders to educate like VP of engineering. Today on this call, you need to say these 4 things and that's enough.
Yeah, that's great.
And then
That's
if
great.
they say everything, that's good.
That's great. Thanks for sharing all of this. In the presentation, which I remember, there were like pretty amazing names like Netflix, Amazon, Dropbox as your clients. So can you tell us like how did you came up to them to become your customers?
Yeah, I think not all of them are customers, but some of them are customers. Some of them are still in the process of discussion. But for example, definitely Nasdaq is the one who came up actually from the referrals. And I think the relationship we built with Nasdaq was really amazing, and they were like always very honest and very upfront, like in terms of how and why and where. Netflix, we actually met at the event, and that's where we had done POC with them, and it was really successful. And I think people were like also like very eager to talk to us. And at that event, we didn't have a booth. For example, InDrive is a massive ride-sharing company that came to Outbound, and I think that was also really incredible how we did manage to speed up the deal so quickly. So I have to say that we were brave enough to think big and to go after big names and to just like learn. But I think it's also one thing that we need to keep in mind, that dealing with these big customers, they're also very eager to learn from smaller companies and startups.
Yeah.
So they can like also get understanding like where the technology is moving on.
Yeah. Because the smaller side being more agile to and open to new things.
Exactly. And we do have great competitors. We have competitors who are in the field for like 10, 15 years, and we know that they have very mature, saturated solutions. But I think at the end of the day, that's the joy of the tech. Like you have so many different providers, and you never know what's the situation in the company unless you talk to them. So we were like surprised that some companies with 20,000 employees have only 2 people analysts, and they desperately need technical solution.
Yeah, was Nasdaq like that first big company which you were waiting for a long time?
Yes, and I think I was always very trustworthy towards that deal, and we knew that it's going to be a great one, and that will definitely like be a rocket star for our brand and everything else. And I think it's also, I always like to say to Nasdaq that they helped me to learn so much about people analytics that I'm like so crazy about it right now. And some people, when I talk to them, think I'm a people analyst, not a salesperson, because they had existing provider in place and they wanted to potentially replace it. So they were doing like very diligent validation of the other vendors, and they would come very often like with some specific features, questions, and of course I didn't know all of them, so I would be like doing a lot of my diligence and learning in the back end. So it really helped me a lot to learn terminology, to learn the language, and to actually utilize that for my outreach further. And I think that was really the great case.
That's great. Can you tell us a bit about the acquisition, how it went, and what a company should like be prepared for an acquisition? What are the steps there?
That's a good question, and I think it's very hard one, to be honest. I really feel that acquisition is a great like validation of good job that you have achieved. And I think it's really reflecting that, like in a life, like you might not get feedback every day, but obviously there is someone there observing you. So I think that's really great feeling.
Your shadow.
Exactly. I mean, we were really happy to know that we are part of CultureAmp. Obviously, it's a big company with a great brand and reputation, and also the synergy between the products completely made sense. They did engagement platform, performance and development, and adding people analytics really enhances the whole ecosystem of the employee lifecycle. Of course, you always sell like now these things like how to fit people from their position within the larger organization. But I really feel that some customers we close, for example, NASDAQ was the customer of CultureAmp and customer of Orgnostic. So that was amazing success case in the beginning that brought a lot of traction to both companies. And then we had like many others that actually came in. It was also great for me in particular, like, to become part of the larger sales engine, and also basically to realize that the sales that I'm working on is very good as some other big companies are working on. And also it really helped me to learn more about HR ecosystem. So overall, really good experience. But I also feel like that everyone should decide if by nature they are more startup hustler or, like large organizational salesperson.
Yeah, that's great. So we're almost at the end of this episode. Is there like anything else which you want to share to SaaS leaders or to people who are thinking to build a SaaS, which could be useful when maybe we haven't covered in the conversation?
Yeah, I would say two things. I think no matter in which stage of the company you are, I think sales should be really the top priority to start building from day one. Obviously, you need to have market fit and product. I understand that, but you need to think about sales, and investing in sales is really investing in the future. And I think that's definitely the first thing. And the second thing is just go for it and try. I mean, whatever comes to your mind, think out of the box. There's so many other ways how you can reach out to someone. Think big and go big. I think that's really important. And I struggled a lot to accept my mistakes, but I think it's actually absolutely normal to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And you should not take them personally. As long as you spot mistake on the time and you learn something from that, that's amazing. And that's what you should aim to go for. And I think in startup, there is no place for egos. Put your ego in front of the door and go inside and just do it. And yeah, I mean, I think that's the most important. So now I shared more than two things. I'm right at the end, but sorry, that's me.
So, if we invest in learning and accept that we could fail with that, I think that's really huge. If we just accept the failure.
Absolutely, because I mean, I talk about this as a success story after 3 years, but I can't say that in the first year I was equally happy as I am right now. It was heavy work. It's a hassle. It's a struggle, but I learned so much about myself, and I really empowered my sales, and I enhanced it a lot. And another thing is that you really don't need a lot of money to invest in sales. Ask for free participation at events. Reach out to people on LinkedIn. Start building connections and network. Think out of the box, and you can definitely make it.
That's great. Thank you, Faris. So we are at the end of this episode. So I will leave your contact in the description if someone wants to reach out to you, so you can share more information about you and maybe the sales strategy. So just follow this podcast so you don't miss any future conversation with SaaS and IT growth leaders. This is powered by SmartClick, your growth partner for B2B SaaS companies looking to scale their organic leads. I'm your host, Milan Savov. So until next time, keep leading, keep scaling, keep growing. See ya.